Hi everyone, welcome to Pawpaw's Workshop. Today I'm going to show you how on the XCarve we're going to square the work area. And I'm not going to use a frame and square, and I'm not using a protractor. Let me show you how we're going to do it. For the video today, I actually purposely moved the two rails on my XCarve so that they are out of position and they're out of square. And I'm going to show you how we're going to get it back square very easily using just simple tools that you have around the shop. It's really a tape measure and a couple of sticks. The first thing that we're going to do is draw a square. And I've on purpose drawn this where it's crooked. It's not a perfect square, okay? But we're going to measure the distance from here to here to make sure that we are actually parallel in all the directions. That this is parallel and this is parallel. Once we know that those are parallel, then we can actually see how this is shifting. Because just because these two lines and these two lines are parallel, that does not mean that our machine is square. The only thing that we need to do is measure from corner to corner, and those measurements must be equal. So let's go ahead and measure my distance on my little square for the drawing. Now what I did off camera is I measured the distance from here to here, and it's 420 millimeters. And I measured from C to D, and it's 410 millimeters. So that you can see now that this is the long side, and this is the short side. Okay, now that I measured my square from A to D was 420 millimeters, and from C to D was 410 millimeters. So I list that over here. So I can see that it's out of square, even though I'm parallel. A and B is parallel to C and D. Likewise, A and C and B and D are parallel. But you can see that the whole thing is shifted this direction. I don't really care about it, but from the standpoint of showing you what's taking place, this measurement is 88 degrees instead of 90, and this measurement is 92 degrees. Now, if you just want to play with the geometry for a second, this side over here and this side will correspondingly be the same thing. So if I add 92 and 92, 88 and 88, it's going to be 360 degrees. I really don't need this measurement to be able to square the machine, and I don't need a regular square to get the machine square. All I need is this measurement. Now I know now that this is my long direction, this is my short direction. So which way do I need to move these bars to be able to get the machine square? I need to move it in this direction. So after I make a small movement, then we'll remeasure and check it again. Now with this information, let's go over to the machine and actually see and make the adjustments. So I'm exactly 880 millimeters. So now let's move to the back of the machine and measure that. So measuring the back of the machine, I'm again exactly 880 millimeters. So I know that those two lines are actually parallel. Off camera, I went ahead and measured, and A and B and C and D are both 880 millimeters, as I showed you on the film, and the other two are 1,000 millimeters, and that's the length of the bars. Now with this information, we know that all sides are parallel. Next, we'll make the sticks that's necessary for the measurements. Okay, the first stick that I'm going to cut is one that is going to be 880 millimeters long, because this will end up being more accurate than doing the tape measure. And I'm going to make it just a hair long, and then I'm going to cut it to fit exactly. Now I've made several very small cuts and just kind of sneaking up on the exact measurement, and that now fits in there with no play at all. So this stick now is 880 millimeters exactly, and it fits exactly between these two rails. And this is what I'm going to use on the back side to be able to keep this rail and this other rail exactly parallel. No tape measure. The next thing that I did is I cut two sticks. Now from corner to corner it's about 53 inches. So I cut two sticks 30 inches long, and I put a point on each end of it. The angle doesn't really matter as long as it's more than 45 degrees. So this is, I don't know, probably 60 degrees, maybe more. Doesn't really matter. What it does, it creates a point so I can get the point directly into the corner of the rail. Now I could get real fancy and make an attachment to this, but it's really not necessary. So I'm going to take the first stick and put it right into the corner, and do the same thing with the second stick, and then bring the two of them together, and I'm going to make sure that that's nice and straight, and I'm going to put a mark right there, and that will give me that measurement. This is a lot more accurate than trying to use a tape measure. I'm going to switch over, and this one is going to be A and D. I'm going to label that, and then we're going to do the same thing with this direction for my C. Okay, I'm going to take these over to the workbench and we'll measure this out exactly now. What I've done is I've just put my stop block down here at the end, and I put my first piece on here, and I'm going to slide this right over to exactly that point, and that is my length. That will give me my exact length. So that is A, D. That's the measurement for that one. The next measurement, I'll slide that down to that point. And that gives me my measurement for my CD. Let me go ahead and measure those. Okay, with the measurements completed, I went ahead and recorded them on here. So it's 1,380 millimeters on my A and D, and on my CD angle, I was 1,374. So you can see that this is my long side, and that this is my short side. from the example that we used at the very beginning, which way do I need to move? Well, this is long, so it's up, it's tilted this direction. So we've got to move in that direction. Now, these front screws up here do not change. All I need to do is loosen the ones back here and move the two rails and that stick that I made that was 880 millimeters. I'm going to keep that stick between those two rails, slide it over just slightly, and remeasure. The nice thing about doing it with this method, I now have my 880 millimeter stick in place. So when I move these, they'll move together and it'll keep these rails parallel, and that's very important. The other thing, this is really called a story stick, and the nice thing about being able to do that, you have the two measurements right here, and the goal is to be able to be dead center between that. That's where I want to be able to have this, and it'll be perfectly square without using a lot of tape measures or anything else. That will give me exactly where I want to be. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen both sides. Now with both of them loose, we'll go ahead and make the move. Alright, that's a very small movement, but it kept both of those exactly the same. Now I'm going to go ahead and retighten them. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my sticks in and we'll measure it. To make this adjustment, it did take several attempts to be able to take very small movements to be able to slide it over to get it exactly where I want it. But with the sticks, you don't have to worry about inaccuracies with the tape measure. Now I made that adjustment a couple of different times, and now I'm going to look at it one last time. I'm going to try to get this in on the camera. This now is dead center, so we are 100% square. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that these screws are tightened, and my table is now completely square. Just to show you, going the opposite direction, I'll put that on there. And again, that is dead on exactly square. So this is a very simple but a very accurate way to be able to get the table square. In reviewing the video, I could see where with the pencil lines it could not see it. So I came back and actually marked it with a marker. So this line was my AD line, and this was my CD line. And then from there, right dead center is what I'm going to use to be able to align it where it's dead on accurate square. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.